Hi, second graders, Miss Shannon back again. I'm going to work with you now on our comprehension skill of the week. This week, we are going to be talking all about comparing and contrasting. When we compare and contrast, we do two things. First, we compare to tell how things are alike or the same. When we contrast, it is to tell how they are different. So, as we read our story today and throughout our other books this week, we are going to be looking at topics that show the way things are similar and different. It is going to be up to us as readers to figure out what is the same and what is different in our stories. This is the graphic organizer we will be using this week. It is two ovals that overlap in the center. This may be familiar to you from first grade, but I want to highlight something about this graphic organizer. The center part, where the two ovals overlap, is where we will write down things that are the same. We will have two topics, one for this oval, one for the second oval. And when we have information where the two topics are similar or the same, we will place that information in the part that overlaps. I will show this more, and I am going to demonstrate and practice using this graphic organizer today. You will not use it yet. You will use it in your other lessons. But today you are going to watch me and see how I use this graphic organizer as I read our story. Okay? To complete this assignment, you will need your turn practice book, page 153. So go ahead and get that out now. Press pause if you need to and play again when you are ready. All right. Our story is titled In a Redwood Forest. Right now, your job, second graders, is to follow along as I read aloud and listen as I stop and think about the story and compare and contrast parts of the story. All right, here we go. A forest is a large area of land covered by trees growing close together. There are different kinds of forests. Some have hardwoods. These forests have trees that lose their leaves each year. Some forests have evergreen trees with needles. One of the most amazing kinds of forests is the redwood forest. Now, second graders, I'm going to stop and think about the topics I learned on this page. I learned about different types of forests. I learned that there can be forests with hardwood trees and with evergreen trees. So I am going to show my compare and contrast chart on the next slide and how I showed how the different types of forests are the same and different. So please follow along and listen as I go over the next slide. Here is our graphic organizer. I might not have mentioned earlier that this is a Venn diagram. Okay, that has a special name. It is a Venn diagram. The two topics I'm going to be comparing and contrasting from the previous page are evergreen trees and hardwood trees. On the previous page, I read that evergreen trees are trees with needles, and that hardwood trees are trees that lose their leaves in the fall. So those are ways that those types of trees, evergreen trees and hardwood trees, are different. Evergreen trees don't lose their leaves in the fall. Instead, they have needles. And hardwood trees have leaves that fall off in the fall. But there is something that is the same about these trees, and it's found in the center where the ovals overlap. It is that evergreen trees and hardwood trees are still both types of trees. That is the way they are the same. They are trees. All right, we're going to keep reading, so follow along. We are still on page 153. What is a redwood tree? In a redwood forest, you will find some of the tallest trees in the world. A redwood tree can grow over 300 feet tall. That's as tall as a 35-story skyscraper, a building found in big cities. Redwoods are some of the oldest trees in the world. A redwood tree can live to be 2,000 years old. One reason is these trees can survive fire. Their thick bark keeps them from burning. Wow, that's some pretty neat information about redwoods that I didn't know before. One part that really made me think and helped me visualize how big a redwood tree is when the author told me that a redwood tree could be as tall as a 35-story skyscraper. Whoa, that's really tall. So since that was a comparison the author made, and we are learning all about comparing and contrasting, I'm going to fill out my Venn diagram again, this time comparing a redwood tree to a skyscraper. Let's look at the next slide together. Here is my Venn diagram comparing a redwood tree and a skyscraper. Under redwood tree, I said it was a type of tree. And under skyscraper, it is a type of building. But something is the same about these two. They can both be 300 feet tall. That is something that is the same about the tree and the building. Pretty interesting. Let's keep going. We are now on page 154. Where are redwoods found? Redwood forests are not found everywhere. California is the only place where they grow in nature. Redwoods need a wet climate to grow. The coast of California is a good spot. There is fog almost every day. The fog keeps the soil moist. It also helps the redwood trees get water. They soak up water from the fog right into their leaves. In the past, people cut down many redwood trees. These big trees would have disappeared. Now, most of them are protected in parks. They can't be destroyed anymore. People can visit the parks to see these special forests. All right, second graders, I see another opportunity to practice comparing and contrasting on this page. The author tells us that people didn't always protect the redwood trees. In the past, people cut them down to use their wood, probably. So in the past, people cut the trees down. Do they still cut them down today? No, they're protected in parks. So that is something that is different. Let's look at our Venn diagram for comparing and contrasting one more time. This time I'm comparing how redwood trees are treated now compared to how redwood trees were treated in the past. In the past, people cut them down. Now, redwoods are protected in parks, meaning someone can't just walk in and chop down the tree. But something that has stayed the same in the past and now is that redwoods have always grown in California. So this shows a third way that we can compare and contrast in this story. All right, we made it through the reading, and now we are going to work on answering the questions. Question number 1. How are some forests different from others? How are some forests different? Let's go back into the text and find our answer. I remember at the beginning of the story, the author taught us about different kinds of trees that forests might have. You remember that some forests have hardwood trees Some forests have evergreen trees. So we practiced on our Venn diagram. This is a copy of the one I showed you earlier. That we learned that types of forests can have different types of trees. So not every forest is the same because they have different types of trees. So I wrote down forests can be different because they have different types of trees. See, second graders, by using our comparing and contrasting graphic organizer while we read, we were able to quickly identify the answer to this question. Press pause while you write out your response and press play when you're ready to continue. Number 2. How is a redwood tree like a 35-story skyscraper? Do any of you remember? If you're not sure, always go back and find the answer in the text. I turned to the paragraph that I saw the word skyscraper in so I could jog my memory. And I remember that it said that a redwood tree could be 300 feet tall, which is the same height as a 35-story skyscraper. That brings me to our Venn diagram that we practiced earlier. We said that both a redwood tree and a skyscraper could be 300 feet tall, meaning they could be the same height. So for number 2, I said a redwood tree can be as tall as a skyscraper. That's how they are similar. Press pause and play when you're ready to continue. All right, now it is your turn. Number 3, how was the past different for redwood trees than today? So how were redwood trees treated by people in the past? And how are they treated today? Well, I can find the section in the text that talked about the past. It was the last paragraph, because I can see the word in the past. That's a clue that my answer is going to be found in that paragraph. I can also go back and look at the Venn diagram we talked about, comparing redwood trees now and in the past. So second graders, I'd love for you to put that information into a sentence in your own words and complete your answer to number 3. How was the past different for redwood trees than today? After you finish this, you are going to take a picture of page 155 and insert it into the green box. Remember to take a picture, you click Insert, Image, and then Camera. Thank you, second graders, for working hard. I can't wait to see what you come up with.